The Panama Canal is a vital artery of the global economy, an engineering marvel that has for generations connected continents and powered the flow of goods across the world. Stretching across the narrow Isthmus of Panama, this waterway is more than just a shortcut. It is the beating heart of international trade, a lifeline that keeps the world's supply chains moving. Nearly 6% of all world maritime commerce passes through its 51-mile stretch. That means every year, over 12,000 ships, laden with everything from crude oil and natural gas to cars, clothing and food, navigate its locks and channels. The canal's strategic position makes it indispensable, not just for shipping companies, but for entire economies that depend on timely deliveries. Every day, ships carrying everything from oil to electronics connect the Atlantic and Pacific, saving an 8,000-mile detour around South America. This shortcut doesn't just save time, it saves billions of dollars in fuel and operating costs, reducing the environmental impact of global shipping and making products more affordable for consumers everywhere. For over a century, this engineering marvel has shaped global trade, but its reliability is now in question. The canal, once a symbol of progress and international cooperation, is facing unprecedented challenges that threaten its very future. Drought, aging infrastructure, and political tensions have all converged, creating a perfect storm of uncertainty. As of November 6, 2025, hundreds of vessels are anchored at either end, waiting weeks for passage. The sight of so many ships idling in the water is a stark reminder of how fragile our global supply chains can be. For many companies, these delays mean missed deadlines, spoiled goods, and mounting financial losses. Daily transit capacity has been slashed by more than half, sending shockwaves through global logistics. Where once over 35 ships passed through each day, now fewer than 15 make the journey. The backlog is growing, and the world is feeling the strain. This isn't just Panama's problem, it's a global crisis. The ripple effects are being felt in ports from Shanghai to Rotterdam, from Los Angeles to Buenos Aires. Delays at the canal mean delays everywhere as ships miss connections and cargo piles up at docks around the world. The U.S. is the canal's largest user, making it a critical piece of American infrastructure. American farmers, manufacturers, and retailers all rely on the canal to move their goods quickly and efficiently. When the canal slows down, so does the American economy. When the canal is squeezed, the effects ripple through U.S. ports, warehouses, and wallets. Consumers may notice higher prices, empty shelves, and longer waits for everything from electronics to groceries. Businesses scramble to find alternative routes, often at much higher costs. The current crisis is a complex geopolitical event, with the U.S. playing a central, controversial role. As tensions rise, questions swirl about who truly controls the canal and whose interests are being served. The world is watching closely as decisions made here could reshape the future of global trade. Officially, restrictions are blamed on environmental concerns, but many see a deliberate U.S. move to assert control. Drought and water shortages are real, but some argue that political maneuvering is just as much to blame for the current bottleneck. The real story is far more complicated. Behind the headlines, a web of environmental, economic, and political factors is at play. As the world grapples with the fallout, one thing is clear: the fate of the Panama Canal will shape the future of global commerce for years to come. The Panama Canal has always been a strategic obsession for the United States, about power, security, and economic leverage. Since its completion in 1914, the canal has been at the heart of American foreign policy in the region. For over a century, Washington has viewed the canal not just as a waterway, but as a symbol of its influence in the Western Hemisphere. The U.S. invested heavily in its construction, and for decades, maintained a strong military presence to safeguard its interests. The canal allows the U.S. Navy to move fleets between the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans with remarkable speed, a cornerstone of American military doctrine. In times of crisis, this mobility can mean the difference between deterrence and vulnerability. The ability to rapidly redeploy ships has shaped U.S. strategy in both world wars and continues to be vital today. Without the canal, the U.S. would need to maintain two entirely separate navies, one for each coast. Ships would be forced to sail thousands of extra miles around South America's treacherous Cape Horn, wasting precious time and resources. Economically, the canal is essential. Grain from the Midwest, cars, electronics, and countless other goods all depend on this shortcut. Every year, billions of dollars worth of American exports pass through these locks, connecting U.S. farmers and manufacturers to global markets. All of this flow through the canal reduces shipping costs, shortens delivery times, and boosts U.S. competitiveness on the world stage. The canal is a lifeline for American commerce, making everyday goods more affordable for families across the country. Any disruption, whether from political instability, natural disaster, or foreign interference, means higher prices for American consumers. Even a brief closure can ripple through supply chains, causing shortages and inflation at home. Geopolitically, control over the canal gives Washington leverage, especially over China, the canal's second-largest user. As global competition intensifies, the canal remains a critical point of influence in the ongoing rivalry between the U.S. and China for economic and strategic dominance. Treaties from the 1999 handover still grant the U.S. the right to intervene to protect the canal's neutrality. This legal framework ensures that even without direct control, Washington retains a powerful say in the canal's future. Today, that line between protection and control is dangerously blurred. As global tensions rise, the canal's fate remains deeply intertwined with America's own security, prosperity, and place in the world. The U.S. story with the Panama Canal is one of ambition and political maneuvering. In 1903, the U.S. backed Panama's independence from Colombia, quickly securing control over the canal zone. For decades, it was essentially U.S. territory, fueling resentment in Panama. Protests and diplomatic pressure led to the 1977 Torrijos-Carter treaties, setting a path for the canal's return to Panama in 1999. Yet the U.S. retained the right to defend the canal's neutrality. Since the handover, Panama's management has been praised, especially after a major expansion in 2016. The current U.S. intervention, overriding Panama's authority, is now a source of intense controversy. The crisis began quietly, almost imperceptibly, with steadily dropping water levels in Gatun Lake in late 2024. What started as a mild drought soon escalated into a full-blown emergency, as rainfall failed to replenish the lake that serves as the heart of the Panama Canal. The once mighty reservoir, essential for the passage of ships between the Atlantic and Pacific, shrank to historic lows, exposing cracked earth and alarming local communities and global shipping interests alike. The Panama Canal Authority responded by imposing moderate restrictions on ship transits, hoping to buy time. But as the drought persisted into 2025, the situation grew dire. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, brought in for their expertise, issued a stark warning. Without immediate intervention, the canal could face a catastrophic water shortage, threatening not just regional trade, but the global supply chain. The United States, citing long-standing treaty provisions and its strategic interests, called for drastic emergency measures. At high-level meetings, U.S. officials pressed Panama to accept unprecedented controls, arguing that the canal's stability was vital to world commerce and security. In response, a joint U.S.-Panama task force was formed. Together, they slashed daily ship transits from 36 to just 15, a dramatic reduction that sent shockwaves through the shipping industry. The move created a massive backlog, with dozens of ships idling for days or even weeks, waiting for their turn to cross. The stated goal was clear: preserve every possible drop of water in Gatun Lake, ensuring the canal could remain operational, even at reduced capacity. Engineers worked around the clock, monitoring levels and implementing emergency water-saving measures. Yet not everyone accepted the official narrative. Critics, both in Panama and abroad, argued that the United States was exaggerating the crisis to reassert control over the canal. Political analysts debated the true motives on international news panels, while protesters in Panama City decried what they saw as foreign interference. Tensions escalated further in September when a new strategic cargo prioritization system was introduced. This policy gave U.S.-bound goods top priority, pushing ships from other nations to the back of the line. For many, it was a clear sign that the canal's neutrality was being compromised. The result was chaos: hundreds of millions of dollars in delayed cargo, frustrated shipping companies, and growing accusations that the U.S. was using the crisis as a pretext for a de facto blockade. The world watched anxiously as one of its most vital trade arteries tightened to a trickle. Washington insists its actions are a necessary intervention, not a blockade. Official statements frame the move as a response to Panama's request to avert environmental and economic disaster. The U.S. points to climate-driven drought and dire hydrological data, arguing that without drastic cuts, the canal would shut down. The strategic cargo prioritization system, they say, is about protecting critical U.S. supply chains. Citing the 1977 Neutrality Treaty, the U.S. claims legal authority to act against threats to canal operation. Washington portrays itself as a reluctant but responsible custodian, stepping in where Panama allegedly failed. For Panama, the economic fallout is severe. Canal toll revenue, vital for the national budget, has been slashed, triggering a fiscal crisis. The slowdown has devastated logistics, shipping, and port industries, leading to layoffs and unrest. Politically, the U.S. intervention has sparked fierce debate. While the government supports Washington, opposition groups accuse it of surrendering sovereignty. Protests demand an end to U.S. control. Panama's reputation as a reliable transit hub is at risk. Shipping companies are exploring alternative routes, and if these changes stick, Panama could lose its central role in global trade, possibly for good. The canal crisis is hitting American consumers. Most goods from Asia, electronics, clothing, furniture, normally pass through the canal. With slots limited and rerouting costly, prices are rising. Shipping around South America adds weeks and expense. Moving goods via West Coast ports strains U.S. infrastructure. These costs are passed to consumers, fueling inflation and potential shortages. U.S. farmers are also suffering. Delays make American exports less competitive, leading to lost sales and income. Efforts to secure some supply chains are inadvertently damaging others. The Panama Canal crisis is global. Delays disrupt European factories, Asian exporters, and just-in-time supply chains. Shipping costs are soaring, and energy markets are jittery. China has condemned the U.S. prioritization system as protectionist, escalating tensions. Other nations are caught in the middle, worried about the precedent. The crisis is forcing a rethink of global supply chains. Companies are diversifying routes and considering nearshoring. The era of seamless low-cost shipping may be ending. The Panama Canal crisis marks a turning point for global trade. What began as an environmental issue has become a geopolitical showdown, with the U.S. asserting control and sidelining Panama. The consequences are profound. Panama's economy is crippled, U.S. consumers and farmers are paying more in debt, and global supply chains are in turmoil. The U.S. claims stewardship, but many see a strategic power play. As climate change and great power competition intensify, will choke points like the canal become battlegrounds for control? The promise of a neutral canal is broken. Is this a temporary crisis or the start of a new era where global trade is hostage to superpower interests?